Hello, everybody, and welcome to Perspectives. Good to have you with us today. Change is in the air. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show, so stick around. You're going to want to hear this. Also, our first guest has been with us before. His name is Don Morris. Don is with the Oklahoma Workplace Development. Don, it's good to have you here. Where did it come from? When did it get started?
The workforce development efforts, it actually dates back in some form to the New Deal, back to the 30s. It was first developed as a depression recovery type tool. And over the years, it's progressed and changed in different ways, focusing on different things, adding services, adding partnerships, and that sort of thing, until finally the WEO Act that we have today actually was signed into law in July of 2014. And it was the best iteration of this process because it kind of forces partnerships within the state to work together. And it created our workforce centers and all the great stuff that we have now.
Who gets credit for starting it?
Probably Teddy Roosevelt.
Well, I think that name's, if we're going to drop a name, that's a pretty good one to drop. Let's talk, why is it important?
People just aren't aware of what's available to them. I came from a small town in Oklahoma with no idea that there were some big businesses there that I could have worked in and made a lot of money working in that I knew nothing about. And so workforce development partners education, businesses, individuals, puts those things together so that there's enough awareness to accomplish a couple of things, to get a workforce that we need in Oklahoma, and also to keep our most precious asset, which is our Oklahomans, working and thriving and worshiping and living here in Oklahoma.
Well, it does a lot of good things and goes in a lot of different directions. I guess the main question I need to ask you here is, it helps communities find workers. Am I accurate on that?
Absolutely. We help. We have a belief, really two common beliefs in workforce development. One is that workforce is best developed at a local level. And two, that helping an individual get trained and get the skills that they need for a job and helping a business find someone, those are two sides of the same coin. And so we work a lot on the business side as well. We recently granted $1.4 million in assistance money to help local communities and businesses build better talent pipelines. And so we work a lot on the business side as well as the services we provide to individuals.
You also work hand in hand with job seekers, don't you?
Absolutely. We have an app, JobMatch App. Unlike most of these type of apps that are trying to sell something or get your information or something like that, the JobMatch app is straightforward. And it goes, you put the zip code that you live in or want to live in and the job that you want, and boom, there they are. You can direct apply. We've got our webpage, oklahomaworks.gov, and we've got the workforce centers, 30 of those across the state, and that people can walk into. As soon as you walk into one of our workforce centers, you're going to be greeted by people either from OESC or from us. We partner in these centers. We're going to assess your needs, what gaps there are between where you're at today and where you want to be, and also help you understand what that community needs you to want to be. But it's your own choice what you want to train for. We have people that walk into workforce centers with a history that we don't necessarily care about. We start with you the day you walk in, and we start helping you look forward. And so we have people that have been justice involved and have had bad luck with jobs in the past, et cetera. We help them remove those barriers and get back to being a viable worker and thriving.
Well, I got to tell you, until early this morning, I felt like somebody had hit me midsection with a fist because of the threat of the railroad strike.
Yeah.
That went away because of the hard-working efforts of President Biden, who got involved hands-on, and now the strike is no longer a threat. So the reason I bring that to the table is the folks who need the services of your organization now can kind of breathe a sigh of relief and step in and ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's something to clarify about WIOA and about the State Office of Workforce Development. We're part of the Department of Commerce. And there's a thought out there that we have workforce centers and you come in and we just hand you some money. And that doesn't help anyone past the day that you give them the money usually. And so we don't do that sort of thing. The average person comes into workforce development programs and stays 2 years in some type of training or apprenticeship program. And the average wage that we target is $55,000 a year. And so we not only help people who are out of work find work, but we help people improve their skills, upskill themselves. It's a great way to build wealth in Oklahoma, which does nothing but drive our tax base up, which gives us more money to provide more services and ongoing. It's a very virtuous cycle that we have these programs, and that's really the value of them.
And obviously, in terms of economic development, it's a real boost. Let's talk a little bit about apprenticeships. Does that apply here?
Absolutely. We decided to double down on apprenticeships right before the pandemic began, and had the challenges of the pandemic. But since that time, in the last 3 years, we've grown apprenticeships, the number of apprentices in Oklahoma, by 200%. And so one of the things that we're doing is offering businesses incentives to start a new apprenticeship program. It's the best way for employers to find people and for people to find work. And it gives the job seeker a chance to earn and learn at the same time. And it gives the employer a chance to try before you buy, so to speak. But 91% of people that do apprenticeship programs nationally get employed where they're doing their apprenticeship program.
Well, Don, we got about 2 minutes left before we have to waddle on out of here. But I think what we need to do at this point is remind folks of how they can take advantage. In other words, where do they go? What do they do if they want to get involved and come to you for help?
The best place to start is at oklahomaworks.gov. You can pull up an interactive map, click on the place that you live, and find a local workforce center or contact people by phone or start some paperwork. There's plenty to learn on the site of the local workforce area. And then come to a workforce center and let us get started helping you get to the place you want to be.
Got about a minute and a half. So I want you, if you would, and I know it's putting you on the spot, but could you share with us, is there any track record involved that you can pull out of the air to let us know how many you might have helped over the years?
Yeah, in the last 12 months, we put a little over 4,100 people to work in Oklahoma. These are trained people that we're tracking and continuing to work with to make sure they stay employed up to a year. And that's kind of a down year with everything that's happened. But usually more than 4,000 people come to our services and get put in the workplace, earning a high wage and making a difference for themselves and their employer.
So the best way to get started is just get into that website and soak it up as much as you can.
The splash page will ask you if you're a job seeker or an employer. Click on the appropriate one, and we've got everything there to help you.
Hey, listen, Don, I want to thank you for taking time. You and I have talked before, and I love your enthusiasm about the project. It's contagious. And again, thank you for taking time to visit with us, all right?
You bet, Sam. Have a great day.
You too, my friend. We'll talk again down the road. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with food right after this.